All right, so this is Libra, and the whole totality of Libra, or what makes Libra Libra. So Libra is born out of the seventh house. So the seventh house is dealing with relationships and marriage and relating to others, partnerships, the joining of energies. And if you really look at it, the seventh house, that's there's 12 zodiacs and there's 12 houses, 12 zodiacs, and 7 is the beginning of the second half, no? So it's kind of the joining of two forces, no? Or it makes sense why it would have that energy. I'm just realizing that now. Now that's actually pretty wild right there. And yes, sir. But yeah, so the seventh house rules relationships and um contracts and shit like that, and relating to other people, business associations and shit like that. Everything, working with other people. The ruling planet of Libra is Venus. So it makes sense, right? Venus, the planet of love, beauty, relatability, connectivity. But this is the masculine side of Venus, so this is pushing that stuff out, um, pushing out all of that love, beauty, and how do you push out? How do you express love and beauty, or how do you bring that out into the external world? By talking about it, right? Libra. So it being the masculine side of Venus and coming from the seventh house, it's all about friendly relationships and making things work with other people and meeting halfway and compromising and finding a way. And that's what, and they call Libra the scale, the judgment, Mot. And and don't get confused when people put such importance on Libra. There's importance to every zodiac sign, but when you're dealing with Ma'at, when you're dealing with the Egyptians, the age that they were in was the age of Libra. We have astrological ages where, um, because there are higher rotations or higher scale rotations that we go through as a solar system. So the sun transitions um, through each zodiac on its own movement, because the sun's not moving like how we think it is. We're moving around the sun, and based on our um rev- revol revolution around the sun, that's how we get our 365. That's how we get all of our perceptions. But how the sun is actually moving is at slower or at a different pace. So where it's going through, the constellations that it's actually in, um it travels through them longer. So that's how we have these higher astrological cycles. That's why there's that whole 2012 scared the world's gonna end. It was just the end of one of those cycles. We started a new cycle. A bunch of cycles ended at that time, so we were entering to a complete new time. That's why people are talking about the Great Awakening. That's where this whole conscious shift, where people getting into. But that's a whole nother video. We're talking about Libra. But I brought that up because the age that they were in was the age of Libra. That's why they brought so much important to Libra, or Ma'at, the Egyptian god that represents that constellation, because all of them represent the constellation. All of the gods represent planetary bodies. All the gods, Egyptian god. But that's a different video. But so we're talking about Libra, the ruling planet Venus, the masculine side. Um, what's exalted here is Saturn. So Saturn is reality and boundaries and restrictions. That's the matrix, confinement. But a Libra being cooperative, it works within confinements. It works. It meets. With because of its relatability, it gets by reality easier because it's creating less friction. No, when you relate with more people, but then it has the possibility of overexhausting yourself. So being too realistic or having too many boundaries and restrictions, or you know diving too deep within those energies. um you have the possibility when a planet is exalted, because when something gets exalted, it's like when you go to your best friend's house when you're a kid to go and sleep over. um it was a not your house. You're not the ruler of it like Venus is, but when you go there, you get this extra burst of energy. That's what happens with Saturn. When Saturn enters Libra. So yeah, it has the chance to overexhaust itself, making too much relationships that it can't keep up with. You know, creating ideas that it can't, or relationships that it can't meet up with, that it can't keep up with. Has that kind of energy. It's opposed by Mars. So, or it's not opposed, it's opposes Mars. So Mars is opposed when it's in Libra. So what that means is it's has to work harder. So when a planet opposes, it brings more attention to that planet. It doesn't mean that the energy isn't there, but it just brings more attention to what um, to the traits of that planet. So the planet is Mars. Mars is passion, desires, willpower, intent, wants. When you're relating to other people and when you're looking at the beautiful side and you want abundance and no conflict. Conflict oriented Mars, definitely is something that you're gonna have to work against. Or those are people, places and things, situations are going to happen in your life, and you're going to manifest them because of that energy that are going to show you those energies, or you're going to have to work against those, because when you're trying to compromise and give out and be generous and kind to everybody, when you're hit with that, you're like, oh, you're not used to that. So that's something that you would have to focus on, or that you have to build. Or because you're trying to work with everybody, may not have or be able to sustain that internal fire, be able to have internal passions. You always need to be um, in connection with someone else, or have tap into another energy for that to be. So that's why it opposes Mars, or why you would have to work more for Mars. And the sun falls here. So when something's fallen, when a planet is fallen into a zodiac or a constellation, it's not that it's not there, or that it's unaware of itself. It's sleeping, so it doesn't know what it's doing. It can be overly excited. It can be chilling. It can be completely in complete chaos. You know, you don't know. Focus isn't being brought on to that area of life, or that's the area of life that could get clouded. And the sun is what you pay attention to. It's your wants, how you perceive things, and your sense of self. Uh, really, what it is, your sense of self, and that kind of makes sense that you may lose sight of that, because you're going off of and communicating about other things, the things of the world, or things that you indulged in it, or things that you like and all of that, but not about yourselves. That's why you can get a lot of Libras, but just with air signs in general. When Aquarius, a little bit because it's fixed, so it stays its own thing. But air signs, that's very chatty. You can probably talk about anything with air signs. And then you get into the element. It's cardinal air. Its modality is cardinal. So there are three states an element can be in: um, cardinal, fixed, and mutable. Just like how in science, the state of matter, you have gas, solid, and liquid. So Libra being cardinal air, it's initiating new ways of thinking and communicating. It's always initiating new ways of thinking and communicating. With Venus being the ruling planet, that's how you can get a lot of sweet talking Libras. This is where the charming Libras come in. Where a rapper or very musically inclined Libra, because they know how to word things right to make it sound beautiful. It's the poetry, that side of Libra. But because they're always initiating new ways and thinking and communicating, they can be indecisive. They not really know what they are, because they get lost in creating new ways of seeing and feeling things. So that's where you get the indecisive ones, the ones who don't know what they want in the life, because they're just overwhelmed by all of this, the stimulant, the stimulation, or all the things that you can get, that you can talk about and think about, and all the beautiful things. It can get too much. And I guess that's an example of Saturn over exhausting itself, you know. But yeah, so that's Libra in a nutshell. It's cardinal air, ruling planet